Hello, I'm Michaela, and this is Isabel, and we're the hosts of Co-Girls on Air. Co-Girls on Air is a platform for our listeners to explore careers in technology, business, education, and the nonprofit sector through interviews and conversations with our community members. While we will primarily highlight female voices in technology, our guests will range from local industry professionals and changemakers to local partners of our organization. Our hope is that our listeners can learn about careers in technology, women in STEM, and the community of support around our organization.
Co-Girls United started in 2016 in the basement of Sykes Diner with 28 girls. Now, in 2024, we have had 1,348 girls in our program and have awarded 79 scholarships. Every year, we host the Co-Girls United App Challenge. The top 6 teams get scholarships. Leading up to the competition, the girls get to create their own apps that solve community problems, create business plans, work on a team, and so many other valuable skills.
Okay, so we're here with Isabel and Michaela. I'm Melissa Dunning, who is the Fund Development Director here at Code Girls, and want to have a conversation with you girls about your experience here at Code Girls. And in particular, we'll talk about this amazing room and the podcast and your journey of doing that. But first of all, let's start with, when did you get into Code Girls?
Yeah, so do you want me to start?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So we both started in 2016, the first year of Co-Girls. I was in 5th grade, and I didn't really know how to use a computer at that point. My mom was like, you need an extracurricular, so here you go. So I didn't know what I was doing, and I had no interest in it prior. But after the first year, I just really had enjoyed myself, and I had made friends, and yeah, so I just kept going. Without Code Girls, I don't think I ever would have gotten into computer science because I just didn't really know what it was. So I don't know that I would know what I was doing with my life without it.
Yeah, so I started the first year, like Isabel said, and I was in 4th grade. And we had just moved here from Denver. And I had always, since I was little, I thought it'd be cool to be able to code and make an app, because you grow up, we were the iPad generation, so we had apps on the iPad, and I'm like, I want to make one of those. Mm-hmm. I had no idea where to start, though.
Right.
So then when my dad saw Code Girls ad in the newspaper, my dad's like, hey, look at this. You can go do this. Just take a computer. So that was really the start of it. For me, I was really excited that I was going to get to learn how to code.
Yeah. Very different, your upbringing than mine. You guys having that technology from the early start was very different, and really interesting how that was kind of formative for you guys and your interest. So you guys were in the first year of Code Girls, and that met in the basement of Sykes Restaurant. Yeah. It's so very different from where Code Girls is now.
Very different, yeah. And when we met in the basement, we had to bring our own laptop, and no, that was a very different experience. I love that now the girls entering the program can come to the offices or go to a classroom. And we did that first year. We shifted from the basement of Sykes Diner over to Russell Elementary.
Yeah, Russell Elementary. Okay.
So we got to be in a computer lab for, the second half of the year, making the apps, building the teams, Yeah.
And it was cool, being in Sykes Diner.
It was.
Just walking in without my mom, because I was homeschooled, so I never really went anywhere.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I felt so grown up going in with my laptop and just being like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, in 4th grade, taking sort of these adult moves of, I'm choosing to do this, and I'm going to go do it on my own in the basement of Sykes Diner.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it seems like the organization and the programs have come a long way. You guys have been there from the very start. So I'd love to hear more about your individual experiences, including maybe some details about some of the apps that you guys have created over time.
Yeah, of course. So we've actually, since the first year, we were on the same team. And we've been on the same team through this whole experience, which is kind of unusual. Normally the girls hop around to different teams. And some will stay the same, don't get me wrong. But it's been really great, us being on the same team. How many apps have we made together now? 7 apps, I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And when we say how many have you made, you're talking about from the idea, the concept, all the way to completion of a workable like being able to use it.
Exactly. And 2 of those apps, Drive Right and Found, ended up winning the Congressional App Challenge, which normally would always mean a trip to D.C. to present in the Capitol, which we can talk more about later. Okay. Unfortunately, Drive Right was the app we made in 2020. So
no one was going
to no one was going to D.C. No.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the first app we made with Emma Anderson, who's been on our team for 4 or 5 years now. No, that was, I feel like, our first real market-ready app. Or the closest that one got to going on the market.
Right. And when you say going on the market, like where people could actually purchase it,
yes,
use it.
Yeah, exactly.
And how old were you, both of you, when you made Drive Right?
I was in 7th grade, I think, right?
Yeah, probably, and I was in 8th.
Yeah.
So having a market-ready app at that age, that's incredible. Yeah. So tell me a little bit more about your experience as far as what do you guys, aside from actually, learning how to do the coding and the programming, what else are things that you feel like you've learned over your time in Code Girls and with your experiences?
Yeah. So when I started, I was super shy, like wouldn't talk to any adult unless forced. And so I feel like Code Girls gives you the opportunity to present in front of lots of people, and that really pushed me outside of my comfort zone and made me really stressed out. But eventually, it was really helpful to have that step outside my comfort zone, like force me outside of my comfort zone, and become more comfortable doing that. And so I've just gained a lot of confidence through the program, and just I feel like it's way easier for me to talk to people now. I'm used to speaking in front of groups of people. And I feel like it's been really helpful skill for me to have.
Yeah, the confidence booster is huge, and learning how to speak in front of crowds is definitely one of the biggest things. I have also learned a lot about the business side of Code Girls, and that's really helped me because I wasn't expecting that when I first joined Code Girls. I was just thinking, I'll be coding.
Right.
But I've taken so much from the business planning and entrepreneur side of Code Girls, and that's really been helpful, kind of learning how, and later on in my internship, learning how a nonprofit works has been really eye-opening too, and that's been a really great experience.
Yeah, and it is really incredible. I have to say, from my perspective, working here at Code Girls, we recently were at a Montana High Tech Business Alliance happy hour together, which is an opportunity for us to network and showcase really like, hey, these are 2 of our interns who have gone through our program. And for me personally, it's always really eye-opening to see the way that you girls, ladies, are able to navigate those situations. Not everyone can kind of speak on their feet and navigate social situations like that. And I do feel like that is something that with your presentations and teamwork and all that, and having the opportunity to present and share.
Exactly.
You girls are really amazing in that regard. And again, not some adults socially can't even handle situations like that. And you girls always shine. And it's really impressive, especially when you share about your time in Code Girls and your experience, which you're both very practiced at this point. And so aside from sort of the, what you would consider sort of, well, these are the main things. What are some other things with your time in Code Girls that you feel like has been enriching for you, that you've learned, or maybe anything really, anything else about your time here at Code Girls?
Yeah, well, I think teamwork is definitely a big one. I mean, it's been great. We've been together this whole time, but we've had different other teammates throughout the years. And I mean, Emma's been great, and we've loved having her these last.
Some teammates are harder to work with than others, but I feel like that's a good thing to experience at a young age, because you always have that. Like, some people are harder to work with than others.
Yeah.
And so just having that at a young age is good to learn how to keep going even when it's a little bit tricky.
Push through.
Yeah, and you guys use like the fist of 5 for making decisions and things like that. Yeah, great. And we, I think as staff, we definitely see that. and have really been impressed when we see students able to navigate those really difficult decisions, because like you said, it will always be that, and it really does kind of mimic a workplace and project management. Yeah, so it's been really great to see that. So I do want to lead from that into your current roles with Code Girls. So you've been here since Code Girls started.
Yep.
And Isabel has graduated high school. You're going to be graduating this next year. But, you know, you've been in Code Girls throughout all those formative years. And now you are working at Code Girls as interns,
Yep.
which is amazing. Can I hear a little bit more, or can our audience hear a little bit more about your intern experience so far and what you guys are doing and learning?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been interning since I was a freshman in high school, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just been an amazing work environment. I've worked a couple other jobs, and it's just, not that they were bad at all, but just Code Girls is such a healthy environment and so uplifting on just that side of things. And the work I love doing, working with the curriculum and the kids, especially helping classes. So,
Yeah.
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 And I've been able to help with some social media stuff. And that's been really cool for me because I really enjoy doing some graphic design stuff and more of the design aspect of like even the app design. So that's been really fun for me. And then just stepping outside my comfort zone with the podcast too. Like I didn't know anything what I was doing with this, but we set it up and everything's working finally. And yeah,
it's been a journey for sure.
Yeah. So let's talk about this a little bit more. So we are in what was a small office. Somewhat, some might compare it to a closet size.
8 by 8.
8 by 8 room. And, you know, give us a little insight into everything that went into setting up the podcast, setting up the room, equipment. Give us a little bit of insight into that journey.
Yeah, so we definitely started out thinking it was going to be easier than it was.
For sure.
We started
Very
out
typical.
Insulating the walls more so that the sound is just better. It's not so echoey in here anymore. So we have like carpet on the walls, and then the tech stuff is really where things got difficult.
Yes.
So we went through lots of different
stages,
options, different sound equipment, different computers, and things.
Worked on PCs, then went all the way to Apple and Mac. Decided that didn't work. Went back to PC. Tried different cameras. Yeah, I mean it's pretty much everything in this room has been changed at least twice, sometimes 3 times.
Yeah. A lot of trial and error.
So much trial and error. So much problem solving.
Yeah.
So many
character
times.
building.
Character building. Working with
Patience.
tech support. Yeah.
That's a great attitude to have about. A lot of people are not really able to navigate the problem solving and being able to work through that and move on to, okay, this didn't work, let's try the next. And being able to move on until you find the right solution, which I know like with the soundboard and headphones and the mics, like everything has to work together.
Yeah.
The camera, all of those things. So it really is an impressive achievement that you guys were able to really navigate that and kind of self-lead and taking that initiative. And so, as I know you have shared with the audience sort of our goal for this podcast, I think, I'd love to hear from both of you with your experience and your involvement with the podcast. Personally, like, what are your goals? What are your hopes for this podcast?
Yeah, so personally, I mean, I've watched podcasts, for a while now, and I've always wondered what it'd be like to be on the interview side of things.
Yeah.
I mean, since we were little, Marianne's put us on shows and radios.
Yeah.
She's gotten us out there, so I'd say we're fairly used to the being interviewed side of things. So it's exciting to get to try out interviewing and being on the production side of things too.
Yeah.
I'm really personally excited about to figure out all that and learn about that.
Yeah, and I'm excited to just meet all these different people and hear all the cool stories like we've already had. Lots of people on that have really interesting stories, and just hearing about all the different careers that people go into, like, it's been really cool so far.
Yeah.
It has very eye-opening.
Yeah, that's great. And that's what we want. Hopefully it will be for our audience as well, as well as them having sort of a firsthand experience with what Code Girls is, or what Code Girls are capable of. So thank you both so much for sharing with us and for, taking this journey and setting all of this up. I'm really excited. I know eventually it will be every other week, right? Yep. Maybe one podcast release per week for a little bit, and then every other week. So we want everyone who follows us to listen. And also we've had people reach out that are interested in coming on. And so, we really excited about that and are grateful for our audience and grateful for you girls. So thanks so much.
Here's a sneak peek at some upcoming episodes.
Most of my career, I would be the only woman in the room. Maybe one other woman, and that might have been an administrative person.
Gotcha.
Not someone that was a peer of mine. So 9 out of 10 times, whether it was on a project team or in a meeting in my division,
right,
I was the only woman. And that's hard.
When I was 25, I got Graves' disease, an autoimmune disease. I ended up doing radiation to radiate my thyroid. It made me feel like I was alive for the first time, kind of getting rid of that. So I wanted to go into radiology. And the quickest path to that was radiologic technology.
Oh, okay.
And so I did my prereqs, A&P, anatomy and physiology and all that. Moved to Montana with a carry-on and just prayed that I got into this program that allowed 12 people a year.
Talk about that a lot because we do have our heads down and we think there's a struggle in my little world. But if you raise your head up, what's going on in the Flathead with our nonprofit community is just inspiring. And so that's a role Whitefish Community Foundation plays, is to bring everybody together.
The school that I went to had a really great degree program where you could build your own degree. It was curated to be an individualized program. And they really looked at real world experience and how that could apply to an education, which is a beautiful thing. I was able to kind of pick and choose the classes that I wanted and really find things that would feed into what I was going to actually do.
I think humans have an inherent need to hear stories. I think that goes back to tribal days of people sitting around a fire, sharing stories, and just kind of learning from the elders or from other tribes coming in and sharing their knowledge and wisdom. Or, it's just, I think it helps people grow individually and together when we can all kind of hear these in-depth conversations. And so I just go into every conversation like a blank slate. I'm here to learn what you have to tell me.
I would say for these girls and young women, just know that you have everything that you need inside of you. It's really just about building confidence. And I think that's something that we do a great job of with young boys. We tell them you're so strong and powerful and you're always right and go out there and conquer. But I feel like the same just isn't instilled in young girls for, just different societal reasons and the culture that we've been brought up in. So I think that just knowing that you are just as smart as the boys, you are just as powerful as they are, and just because they say they know everything and state things like a fact, even if it's not correct, but just keep that in mind where you're not lesser than, or you're not as smart or not as powerful just because of your gender. You actually are, and you're just maybe underestimated. So I think just go out and prove people wrong.
You have to be mentally and emotionally strong. And EQ, to me, emotional intelligence, is the most incredible thing. Combine that with logic, and that makes a great venture capitalist.
As you can see, we have a lot of exciting episodes coming up that we can't wait to share with you. Thanks for listening, and please be sure to join us again for our next episode of Code Girls on Air.